My family always had a label for everyone. My sister Jolene was the pretty one. My brother Caleb was the smart one. And me? I was the ugly one. The daughter they hid in the back of photos and sat at the kids' table. But last July, at our annual family reunion, my Aunt Patricia introduced me to a stranger with a line that was meant to crush me forever. She said, and I quote, "This is the one we don't talk about." What my aunt didn't know was that this stranger wasn't a random guest. And what she did next changed absolutely everything about how my family sees me. Welcome back to Calm Drama Stories, where real emotions meet life-changing moments. If you've ever been the one your family overlooked, underestimated, or completely cast aside, this story is for you. Drop a comment below telling me your family label. I read every single one. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because justice is a dish best served with receipts. Was 6 years old the first time the verdict was handed down. It was a stifling Sunday in June. My mother sat at her sewing machine, the hum of the motor filling the house as she crafted matching, vibrant summer dresses for every single girl in the family. My cousins, my sister, even my aunt's stepdaughter, who had only been around for 4 months. Everyone got a custom dress. Except me. When I asked why, my mother didn't even look up from her fabric. "Jolene needs something nice," she said coldly. "She photographs well." Instead, I was handed Jolene's old, discarded Easter dress, a faded yellow fabric with a stubborn chocolate stain on the collar. My mother hadn't even bothered to treat it. "It won't show up in the pictures anyway," she muttered. She was right. Because that afternoon, at my grandmother's church potluck, I wasn't allowed in any of the photos. I remember standing on the edge of the lawn, the scratchy, stained fabric irritating my skin, while my Aunt Patricia held Jolene's face in both hands, cooing, "This one is going to break hearts." Then, her eyes drifted over to me. Her expression soured. Tilting her head, she turned to a neighbor and whispered loudly, "That one got the Mercer nose. Poor thing." My mother was standing barely 4 feet away. She didn't defend me. She didn't tell Patricia to be kind. Instead, she let out a short, soft laugh, a laugh of total agreement, as if Patricia had simply stated an obvious, fundamental truth. At 6 years old, I didn't know the word ugly was a life sentence. I thought it was temporary, like the stain on my collar. I was wrong. As the years bled together, that label became a sorting system. Everything in our household organized itself around it. When school photo order forms came home every fall, my mother ordered the premium, high-gloss portrait packages for Jolene to frame on the living room wall. For me, she checked the box for the $2.50 wallet-size prints. Those tiny pictures were tossed straight into a cluttered kitchen drawer, buried under expired coupons and dead batteries. Birthdays were an exercise in humiliation. Jolene got elaborate theme parties, a princess palace at 7, an upscale spa day at 10, a pool party with a live DJ at 12. My birthday fell 3 weeks after my brother Caleb's, so my mother always combined them to save effort. Every year, the cake arrived with a massive, beautifully scripted "Happy Birthday, Caleb" across the center. My name was squeezed underneath in tiny, cramped frosting letters, a literal afterthought caught at the last minute. Caleb, the smart one, accepted his label and used it as a passport to escape, leaving for college at 17 and never looking back. He was never overtly cruel to me, but his complete absence was its own form of agreement. Internal monologue. A family label isn't just a word. It's a permission slip. It tells everyone around you exactly how much space you are allowed to take up, how much attention you deserve, and how little effort you are worth. If you ever want to know how a family truly values you, count the photographs. Our living room featured a meticulously arranged gallery of 14 framed photos above the sofa. Jolene appeared in all 14. Caleb appeared in 6. I appeared in 3. In the first, I was partially blocked by a cousin. In the second, my face was literally sliced in half by the frame's edge. The third was a photo of me at 5 years old, squinting miserably into the sun, holding a red balloon. My mother only kept it up because the balloon matched the red sofa cushions. I wasn't a daughter in that room. I was furniture. I broke away at 18, earning a full scholarship to the State University's architecture program. When I told my mother, her response landed with the same heavy finality as every other verdict. Architecture, she scoffed, a look of pitying condescension crossing her face. That's not really a career for someone like you. Someone like you. I didn't understand the venom behind those words until years later, when I discovered a secret hidden in our attic. I had been looking for old encyclopedias when I stumbled upon a dust-covered box labeled Diane College. Inside was my mother's old spiral-bound sketchbook from her youth. I flipped through the pages in absolute awe. Elegant, precise pencil drawings of Victorian homes, intricate floor plans, and soaring church steeples with detailed notes on load-bearing walls. My mother hadn't just studied architecture for a year before getting pregnant with Jolene. She had been incredibly talented. Sitting on that dusty attic floor, the truth hit me like a physical blow. Every time I talked about design, every time I brought home an A, even after building my own successful preservation firm, the family dynamic never shifted. 2 years ago, at Thanksgiving, I mentioned that a historic courthouse restoration project I spearheaded had won a prestigious state preservation award. The entire dinner table fell dead silent for 2 agonizing seconds. Then my mother sighed. "That's nice. Can you pass the cranberries?" Jolene sneered from across the table. "Is that like flipping houses? Sounds like a hobby." Later in the kitchen, I overheard my mother whispering to Patricia, "At least she's keeping busy. I just wish she would do something about." Followed by a vague, disgusted hand gesture toward her own face. Patricia just laughed. But there was one person who was paying attention. 6 months later, my father suffered a minor stroke. While helping clear out his home office desk to organize insurance papers, I found a thick manila folder bound by a worn rubber band hidden in the bottom drawer. When I opened it, my breath caught. Inside was every single newspaper clipping, blog printout, and award announcement featuring my architecture firm spanning 8 years. My father had sat at his slow desktop computer, painstakingly typing in long URLs character by character to print out my achievements. He never told my mother. He never spoke of it aloud. But when he walked into the office and saw me holding the folder, he simply gave me a quiet, knowing nod. He kept the receipts. That brings us to last July, the annual Mercer family reunion. The heat was oppressive, rising in shimmering waves off the asphalt. I only attended for my father, who now walked slowly with a cane. When I arrived, the emotional hierarchy was instantly on display. Jolene pulled up, receiving squeals of delight and massive hugs. I walked up and received awkward, passing nods. There were pre-printed name tags for all 42 attendees, except me. I had to write my own name with a Sharpie on a blank sticker. When I walked over to the main dining tables, I realized my mother hadn't made a place card for me. I was completely excluded from the family seating. I was relegated to the overflow kids table, sitting on a plastic chair between a 7-year-old building a tower of potato chips and a 10-year-old playing games on a phone. From the kids' table, I watched my family fawn over Jolene's husband talking about their new vacation home. When a distant cousin asked what I did, Aunt Patricia shouted across the yard, "Oh, Faith does something with old buildings. Fixing them up or whatever," waving her hand dismissively. I swallowed my pride, picked at my dry hamburger, and prepared to endure the rest of the afternoon in isolation. What I didn't know was that someone else was about to walk into this backyard. At exactly 2 p.m., a sleek, luxury black SUV pulled up to the edge of the gravel driveway. The doors opened, and out stepped Nora Whitfield, the senior features editor of American Preservation magazine, along with a professional photographer carrying thousands of dollars of high-end camera gear. I had mentioned to Nora in an email weeks prior that I would be in town, but I never expected her to actually show up. My mother's eyes widened at the sight of the expensive vehicle. Sensing an opportunity to impress someone important, she immediately abandoned the main table, dragging Aunt Patricia and Jolene along with her to intercept the visitors. "Hello. Welcome," my mother beamed, putting on her most grand, hospitable performance. "Can we help you? Are you lost?" Nora, looking incredibly sharp and professional, adjusted her sunglasses and looked past my mother, searching the yard. "Hi, yes. I'm looking for Faith Mercer. Is she here?" My mother blinked, completely thrown off script. "Faith? Oh, well, yes, she's back there. At the kids' table. But I'm Diane, her mother, and this is her sister Jolene. If you're looking for someone to talk to..." Nora politely but firmly cut her right off. "Nice to meet you, Diane, but we are on a very tight production schedule. I'm the senior features editor for American Preservation magazine, and we are here to shoot the cover feature story on Faith for our national corporate profile." The color drained from my mother's face instantly. Aunt Patricia's jaw practically dropped into the grass. Nora spotted me sitting at the kids' table, her face lighting up. "Faith. There you are," she called out, walking right past my stunned mother and sister, her heels clicking against the stone walkway. I stood up, brushing a stray chip crumb off my jeans. The entire reunion of 42 people went completely, utterly silent. Every single eye was glued to me. The photographer immediately began setting up light reflectors right next to the children's table. Nora shook my hand warmly. "Faith, your restoration of the West Virginia courthouse just swept the regional awards, and our editorial board chose you as the centerpiece for the entire annual issue. We want to shoot your portrait right here, surrounded by your roots." My mother rushed over, her voice pitching higher in a frantic attempt to control the narrative. "A cover story? For a magazine? Oh, Faith, you never said anything. Please, let's move this to the main table. We have beautiful centerpieces, and Jolene can stand next to you." Nora turned, looking at my mother with a piercing, analytical gaze, then looked down at the empty spot where my place card should have been. She looked at the cheap, handwritten name tag stuck to my shirt. Nora was a brilliant journalist. She read the room in a single second. "No, thank you," Nora said, her voice dripping with ice. "We want to capture Faith exactly where she is. True talent doesn't need a centerpiece to stand out." The photographer began snapping high-speed shutters. Click, click, click. The bright flash illuminated the yard. Nora spent the next 45 minutes interviewing me in front of everyone, asking deep, intellectual questions about structural integrity, architectural history, and my multi-million-dollar historic contracts. My mother and Jolene stood on the periphery, looking absolutely humiliated, entirely stripped of their power. They wanted to disappear. For 34 years, they had tried to make me invisible, but in a single afternoon, the spotlight was so bright, they couldn't even look me in the eye. As the shoot wrapped up, I looked over at the edge of the yard. My father was sitting in his lawn chair under the oak tree. He wasn't looking at the cameras. He was looking at me, a massive, triumphant smile stretching across his face. He raised his glass of water to me in a silent, solitary toast. When people write a script for your life, you don't have to follow it. You don't have to accept the labels a toxic family forces upon you. You can quietly, meticulously build a reality so undeniable, so structurally sound, that their opinions simply crumble under the weight of your success. If this story gave you chills and filled your heart with justice, smash that like button right now. Tell me in the comments, what is the most satisfying piece of cosmic karma you have ever witnessed? And of course, make sure to subscribe to Calm Drama Stories for more real, deep, and empowering narratives just like this one. Until next time.